dollar New Zealand. Then the next one, we might as well finish all the dollars. So we look at the Aussie dollar, and then we're going to do the pound dollar. So if we look at the Aussie dollar, you can see from last week it closed at 103.31, and we actually had our structural long point at 103.31, and the initial buy signal was 102.47. This is quite interesting because it will show us another rule to trading. Let me put the radar screen again so that you can see it. This was our first buy, the 102.47. Then we had the structure long point at the 103.31, which we did come above it, and it took us to the next structural point, which is the 103.94, and we traded as high as the 104.10, and then we rolled over and we came back to the next structural point, which is the 103.31, and we closed above it by 2 or 3 pips. So what does this say to us? This is a true representation of how strong, or how, yeah, to lack of a better term, how strong the dollar is, and how non-directional or neutrally biased is the Australian. The Australian for the last several months have been oscillating between one structural point and the other. The strongest one has been the 101.82, and then it goes to the 102 to the 103.94, and then it rolls over and it comes back down again. So the Aussie has been more of oscillating more than it is directional, and therefore right now this close we should be looking for further move to the downside, and having it close at, let's say, the structural point. So this makes our trade quite easy. We have closed the week here at 103. Our structure point, I just want to make sure we don't have these numbers. We're pretty much sitting at the structure point. I mean, we're 1 pip above the structure point, so this is where we are. The structure point is 103.30. Right there. So I mean, there is nothing more for me to do. We close the week at, so this will be my structural short point. So our short is going to be below 103.31. This is what it is. This is going to be our structural short point, and of course it is going to be our stop. On the long side, we're going to look, if you look at the intraday chart, to me the bias is to the downside. This is having this kind of a setup that you can see here. Yes, you have the trend is to the upside. This was our buying point from last week. As you can see, this is the initial, when I put a B, this means our buying point, and this was our buying from last week, and it was actually a pretty excellent buy because it took us from 102.44 all the way up to 104. So that on that trade on the long side from last week, we had about 160 pips. Right now, if you can see here, this is an intraday structure failure, which resulted in a capitulation to the downside. So we want to take it, we're looking for a resumption to the downside. As far as buying it, this is the structure point that began the capitulation, so therefore our buying is going to be right there. This is going to be our buy signal, which is the 103.55. So our buy is going to be 103.55. We're going to go long above 103.55. And if I buy it above 103.55, my stop is going to be the structure point, which is 103.31. That is going to be my long stop. So I'm risking about 20 pips on that trade. That's the least I can risk. And my structure long point is going to be the 103.94. Okay, so basically my bias is to the downside. My sell signal is 1 pip away, so we're going to go short below 103.31. That's going to be our structure short point and our structure stop. On the buy side, we're going to go long above 103.55, and that we have a structural point above that, which is the 103.94, and my stop is going to be 103.31, which is our structure short entry. Okay, that is the Aussie dollar. So let me save that. If anybody